Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to Popternative. This is the talk show and podcast where we have digital discussions in the worlds of TV, film, news, pop culture, sports, social media, everything really, depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as Peter Beats. You'll recognize my guest from a lot of cool TV shows and movies. Specifically, you'll recognize her on Siren, which was on Freeform, but now you can watch it on Disney Plus, and a horror movie called Toys of Terror. Georgia Waters is with us. Georgia, welcome to Popternative.
Oh, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I'm excited to chat with you. There's a lot of cool things to talk about, but specifically, when did the storytelling acting bug hit you? Was it at a very young age?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the first thing that I can remember really was wanting to act. So I remember being like 3 or 4, and my nana got a deck made in her garden, and I just assumed that was a stage that they'd built for me. Which I thought was great. So I put on all my own little plays for the family. And then it kind of grew from there that I was doing drama clubs. And then at university, I did a lot of theatre, and then it just continued. But storytelling is, I guess it's the perfect way of escapism. And right now it's so important.
Well, I feel like two things. The escapism is huge, and I want to kind of talk about that as well down the road in the interview. But I mean, theater is basically where you learn your craft. I don't think I feel like a lot of people realize it. Like the actors that start on TV, you know, they like where they start is the theater. But a lot of people, I think, don't realize that. Like we're watching on TV, that some of their favorite TV stars like were on the theater stage first.
Yeah, it's a great way to earn your stripes. Because you're there. There's no forgiveness. There's no editing. It's your performance, and it makes you more reactive as well. You've got to respond to what the other actors are giving you, whereas in film it's so different. You know, you've got the close up, you've got the wide. If you mess it up, you can do it again. But there's nothing like the adrenaline rush like when you're in the theater.
Absolutely. So Siren, I mean, not much more to say about it than, you know, an awesome show about mermaids. I mean, you were in this show. This was a show that had a very good run on Freeform, and you can also watch it now on Disney Plus, which is exciting. It's crazy because that show seemed to be, because I was telling you before, I talked to other cast members before, and it just seemed like that show kind of got a really big fan base really quick. Like people watched season 1, and they were kind of really into it. Is it just me?
Yeah, no, definitely. And our fans are still so loyal now. You know, they're still posting. They're desperate for a season 4, and they're so loyal. And I guess because the world of mermaids, it's this kind of fantasy world that really captures the hearts of people. And you know, I think everyone secretly hopes that mermaids exist, and that in the deep of the ocean that there could be mermaids. And throughout all of cultures, I read a book about I think it was Penguin Classics, that is the mermaids in all cultures. So I think it's something that has really tapped into our imagination. So people love it, and now it's on Disney Plus, which is great because here in Canada, so many friends were like, "How do we watch it?" And I was like, "Well,
yeah, we don't have Freeform here."
No, exactly, which is ironic because it was filmed here, but now so many more friends are able to enjoy it, which is great.
It's exciting because it's also like Hulu we don't have in Canada as well. So I think a lot of things now are going to be on Disney Plus. That Star, like that it's called Star. They're branding it, and I think that's exciting too because it's true. Like people don't realize like we're just in Canada here, just waiting for the stuff to finally like.
Really? You can see it being filmed, and you're like, but I can't see it on the screen. So
it's pretty crazy there. Do a little bit of a thing right now involving your character on Siren. I mean, talk a little bit about for the Siren, for the non-Siren fans. Give us a little bit about kind of what we could expect with your character, and then for the Siren fans, talk a little bit what was like kind of playing this character and the arc and like the kind of dynamics and the complexity of this character as well.
So for those that don't know Siren, it's based in this fictional town called Bristol Cove, set in Washington. And mermaids come to land and start developing relationships with the humans to try and solve each other's problems, essentially. And my character appears in season 2 when our tribe are in danger because there's the overfishing, so we've run out of food, and also the sonar radars from the fishing boats are actually disturbing our patterns. So we're driven on land to try and get help. And my character, she's a healer mermaid, so she has a specific skill set where she is able to heal, and she's also able to take away some of the impact of the siren song. Not fully, but she's able to help a little bit. So she's not as aggressive as some of the other mermaids, but
there's an aggressivity. The mermaids in the show, that's the one thing I was talking to my sister about too. They go 0 from 100 sometimes in episodes. Like there's no warning.
No, and they're very animalistic. And part of our prep, we watched a lot of animals and seeing how they react. And I took a lot of inspiration from cats, how they can be very normal and very sleek and elegant, and then suddenly they can attack, and it's from 0 to 100, like you were saying. So we did a lot of practicing of actually physicality, of being like, okay, well, what's my attacking physicality? What's my I'm just chilled? So that was really fun. And then for this specific role, I did a lot of researching of medicine women in different cultures as well, and Reiki, because she uses the vibrations in the body to heal as well. So
a lot of the characters in it it's interesting because the show does a very good job of showing like the mermaids, but also the non-mermaids, the people living in the town. There's a lot, like everyone kind of has a lot going on and everyone has a lot of emotions. And I find it's funny because there's some characters, like some mermaids characters with the non-mermaids, they kind of complement each other a little bit. And then some of them like don't help at all. Like they just kind of like, like it's interesting that it's also a show also about complex relationships and complex people as well. I don't think people realize that.
Yeah, and what happens when your way of life is threatened, which is what the mermaids are doing to Bristol Cove. And they kind of represent this otherness as well. And especially kind of I know in season 2, we played with the idea of like refugees coming in because they need your help, and then how you respond to that, whether it's with fear or whether it's, with open arms. And all the characters respond differently. And that's a beautiful thing throughout the seasons. You see people reconcile that theme as well, and as they get to know each other more, they aren't threatened by each other.
Absolutely. No, it's crazy. Moving towards other projects, there's a genre of movies that has just kind of in the last 5 years, I mean, maybe 10 years, but like 5 years have just like exploded. And that's the genre of horror movies. And you worked on a horror movie called Toys of Terror on Sci-Fi, Warner Brothers. And like, what did you know about this genre before you kind of stepped in to this role? And are you kind of blown away of like how big horror movies have become?
Yeah. So before this, I get a bit scared by horror films. So I sometimes have to fast forward them. So I was nervous. Am I going to be scared on set? Is it going to be too much? But once I got the film, I obviously researched more, and the director sent us a list of films to watch for inspiration. And you suddenly realize it is this huge world. And even more so these days. I don't know if it's because what's going on at the moment, we all want this escapism, as I said earlier, just kind of something outside of reality.
We love horror movies. Like horror movies are like a thing. It's like, remember like how there's like certain foods that are trendy? Yeah. It's like horror movies are like the cool thing. Like it's cool.
Yeah. I think it's just, like with spicy food, it makes them cry.
Spicy food was like a big trend.
Yeah.
Same thing with horror movies.
Scared.
So did you have a chance? Did you have a chance to watch Toys of Terror?
I have, yeah. It's,
There's some insane things that happen in that movie.
yeah.
It's really weird because like you're the star of it, and like I saw it a couple of weeks ago, and it's just like there's a lot to kind of dissect. But I enjoyed it. It's literally like these toys are terrified. I mean, there's not much more to say about that.
Says it.
Did it blow your mind a little bit, like watching the playback of it, because it has this like kind of dark, like pretty crazy, pretty good aesthetic feel, right? But you're like shooting it, so maybe you don't realize. But what was that like watching the playback of that movie?
Yeah, I mean, it was much darker than I expected.
Yeah.
I knew that the DOP and the director had done an amazing job in terms of the lighting, and the set deck people had done an incredible job with the set. But then when you see the scenes come to life, like there's my dream sequence scene. I don't know if you saw that when there's candles everywhere. We did actually have candles everywhere, but seeing it on the screen, it just looked.
And I think it's in the trailer too, but that damn baby face, man. Oh.
Yeah.
Come on, like don't do that.
No, and it was really scary in real life, and that was one of the last shots of the day, and I think everyone was tired.
It's funny because I watched the movie, but then I saw like the trailer afterwards, and then I'm like, of course they put that in the trailer. Like, damn it.
Yeah. I know, I was like, oh, they shouldn't, because then people know
it was scary in the movie. I don't want to see it again in the trailer. You're right. It's the other way around usually. It's scary in the trailer, you see it in the movie again. But like I just watched the movie and then was curious to see what the trailer cut was going to be like. And of course, the baby is in that. It's in the trailer.
There were some children in that scene, and we had to send them home because they were too scared by the doll.
I would probably be scared if I was there. It's funny because I'm a huge horror movie fan, and I don't like. I have probably a list of top 10, but like when people ask me like what my favorite horror movie is, I can't answer it because I don't know. But you know what's interesting, Georgia? I could tell you what the scariest horror movie I've ever seen is. Like it's funny how I know, like, and that is The Strangers with Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you remember that one or saw the trailer for that, but like that's the scariest movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and it's I'm not great with those feelings when it and then
do you know what I'm talking about with like the masks, like the home invasion movie?
No, yeah, no.
Yeah. It's so because I think it's like what they're doing now with a lot of like Toys of Terror. I mean like not the most realistic kind of thing, and it's a lot of like head games, but so it's not a good example, but like there's a lot of horror movies that are like realistic scenarios, and I feel like that makes it more scary because it can actually happen.
When you can imagine it happening, or it's based on a true story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Toys of Terror. I can't get that baby out of my head. Damn it. Learning experiences. There are always going to be learning experiences wherever you kind of work on a project. Go quickly through a few learning experiences working on Siren and then working in the horror genre with Toys of Terror, Georgia.
Yeah, well, Siren, a big one was the underwater scenes. So we had to actually do fight scenes underwater. So we had spears.
Ooh.
Amazing. But I also had to learn how to free dive. So that was holding your breath underwater and doing these scenes. And then also using the scuba. So there'd be some scenes where you just had to wait. They put weights down around you, so you were at the bottom of the tank, and they'd give you the scuba to breathe in between takes, and then you'd give it away, and then you do the scene, and then they have to give you back so you can breathe again. So learning how to deal in that situation, it was a lot of mental preparation as well, actually. Being able to be zen and calm when you can't breathe and you're tied down to the bottom of a water tank.
Oh yeah.
And you can't see because we had to wear contact lenses, so you can't see a thing either. So there's a lot of stuff to deal with there, but a great experience. I would do it 100 times again. So that was quite and they gave us so much training. We felt completely safe. Mm-hmm. And then for Toys of Terror, you probably saw quite a few stunt scenes.
Yep.
So learning how to fall learning how to fight with
I don't
invisible
know.
things.
I don't know why I find that funny learning how to fall. It's just
Yeah.
just that's awesome. Yeah. I was expecting you to say that. I'm sorry.
But it's a big thing because I hadn't done it before. Like my character, I guess it's a spoiler, falls at some point. I won't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You
never done
fall
that.
big time.
Yeah, falls big time. And there's a certain way to do it, and I hadn't done it before. And your body doesn't want to. Your body's like, no, what are we doing?
I know.
But my character gets a hard deal.
Yeah, she goes for a tough time. Considering you're also like a lead in this movie, like you don't have it kind of you don't have it. Your character does not have it easy in this film. Because like, yeah, your character goes through hell in this movie.
She does. There'll be days when my director will be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, yeah.
I know, it is crazy. Well, Georgia, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
Oh, thank you. It's been really fun and lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. So they can watch Siren now on Disney Plus, especially in Canada, because we didn't have access to that before.
Yeah. You can watch it.
And where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
I'm Georgia_Scarlett_Waters.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Georgia Waters from Siren and Toys of Terror and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.